What's good, Nosebleed Nation? It's your boy, Coach Mike D. Hey, I'm back. Been a while since we got a chance to talk about any football, but we are in week 10 of the NFL season. And right now, we got a good one on primetime football. We're talking about those Pittsburgh Steelers again and the San Diego Chargers. Pittsburgh Steelers coming into the game at 5-3, number one in the AFC North, with the Ravens hot on their heels, getting healthy. Then the Chargers, of course, were second in the AFC West. At 6-3, trailing the Denver Broncos, but the Chiefs are hot on their heels. The Chiefs have gotten healthy, so the Chargers need to watch out about what's going on with that. We have a very good game going on. Of course, Mike Tomlin versus the great Jim Harbaugh. Clash is tight, so let's get into it. But before we get started, make sure you always hit that like button. Here at Nosebleed Nation, we want to get the algorithm. We're a small organization that's trying to grow big to bring you content every day when it comes to the NFL season, high school football, and college football. So let's kind of get into it here. We won't take that much time. And here we go. Basically, this game is going to be on primetime football, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but 5 Pacific, and they will be in Los Angeles, out there with a little bit of sun in that great stadium that the Rams and the Chargers play in out there in Los Angeles, California. Both these teams are looking to keep streaking. They both have come off wins in the last game. Of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers had an impressive win that shocked the whole NFL world by beating the Colts 27-20. That game should have actually been a little bit different. They were up 24-7 in the fourth quarter. A lot of garbage time touchdowns, and that's why the score doesn't really reflect how that game went. Of course, the LA Chargers. I want to say San Diego. I think everybody does that once in a while. But the LA Chargers come off a win against the Titans, who are 1-8. Not a good organization. Not really an impressive win. Just a win and put on the stats, but less it is a win. Right now, the Chargers are 3-0 in the AFC West Division. They're the only undefeated team in that division, and they're pressing to try to keep pace with the Denver Broncos, who just won a game on Thursday Night Football, beating the Raiders in an ugly game, 10-7. Nevertheless, it's a win, and we don't argue about wins. We'll never apologize about them, like Mike Tomlin says. This game is going to feature Aaron Rodgers and Justin Herbert. We all know who Aaron Rodgers is. He needs no introduction. And Justin Herbert is trying to etch his name in the history books, one of the most prolific passers since Dan Marino, who a lot of people compare him to in the National Football League. Both these teams are trying to get to the playoffs by any means necessary, whether it's in a wild card spot or in a division to get that vaunted home game. The last playoff game that the Pittsburgh Steelers won was in 2017 when they beat the Kansas City Chiefs 18-16 in a divisional round playoff game under Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger. The last time that the Chargers were in the playoffs, well, they lost. Matter of fact, the last two playoff times they've been in the playoffs, they are 0-2 under Justin Herbert. They lost a game in 2021 to the Jaguars, 31-30, in a vaulted comeback on that game. And then in 2024, they lost to the Houston Texans. So they're trying to find a way to get their first win under Harbaugh and try to find a way to etch their name in history books and help Justin Herbert make that leap and also give Jim Harbaugh his way back into the Super Bowl for a consecutive time. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a carousel of quarterbacks. They have been trying to find that quarterback and that consistency they need at that position ever since Ben Roethlisberger retired in 2022. Well, after they had last year 3 quarterbacks, they had Russell Wilson, who now is with the New York Giants, Justin Fields, who now is the quarterback for the New York Jets. They have now got Aaron Rodgers in the saddle, and he's giving them a lot of stability and a lot of people excited. The offense is not the issue, but at least they know what's going on there. Before we break down what the keys to the game and some things we can look at for you guys, and all you guys like to bet with the betting persuasion and look at things, we're going to look at some key injuries in this game because sometimes those things can make a difference on how you make your decision on things going to come out on top on this game. So on the Pittsburgh Steelers side, Jabril Peppers, the safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who they acquired from the New England Patriots, is going to be out with a quadricep injury, so he will not be in there. So that Kyle Duggar, who they acquired also from the New England Patriots in a trade earlier this year, probably will be having the duties of safety by an already decimated secondary. They have a lot of injuries in that area. Of course, Deshaun Elliott, who is out with a knee injury. His season is over. In the game they played against the Colts. And then, of course, the banged up cornerback that they have, Darius Slade, who is riddled with injuries. He will play, but he does have injuries. Cole Holcomb, one of their linebackers, who is the outside weak linebacker, will also be out with an illness. So he will not be playing this game. Again, the injuries are piling up in key areas where, especially with Pittsburgh with a 3-4 defense, losing linebackers is not a good thing. It can put you in handicap, especially against some of these teams that have good tight ends and good slot receivers. Also, Isaac Salmalu, the guard, the only veteran guard on their offensive line, will miss this game with a pectoral strain that he re-aggravated. Hopefully, he can get through the season. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing this as a precaution. They want to have him healthy just in case they make that run into the playoffs, and they're pretty much just as a precaution keeping him out. But he did re-aggravate it in that game against the Colts. He left the game in the third quarter and didn't come back. Now, when it comes to the LA Chargers, they have a slew of injuries that we have to keep an eye on that can really put a lot of pressure on them, especially with this Pittsburgh Steelers defense trying to find their footing with the adjustment that they've made on that side of the ball. The Chargers have a major injury in the backfield. Omarion Hampton, their leading rusher, is out on IR with an ankle injury. That is big. He is not going to be playing, and they don't know how long he's going to be out. Usually when you're on IR, you have to stay out for at least 4 games. So at least they know they're going to have him for 4 games. That means somebody's going to have to pick up the slack, and we'll talk about that later in this broadcast. But where they have major problems is their offensive line, and Lord have mercy, I mean they got major problems. Both of their tackles are out for the season. The vaunted tackle out of Notre Dame, Joe Alt, is out for the season after he had season-ending ankle surgery to repair damage in ligaments that had his ankle. So he is gone for the season. That spells problems in this game, especially with that vaunted pass rush that Pittsburgh has. Also, Rashawn Slayton, their right tackle, the Pro Bowler, is out for the season. He tore his pectoral. So I'm sorry, pectoral in his knee. He's out for the season, so he won't be there. Also, their backup tackle, Bobby Hart, is out with knee and ankle injuries. He will not be playing. But they got some good news trying to show up the interior of their line so they're not too decimated. Mekhi Becton, the guard that they received from the Philadelphia Eagles, he is coming back off a knee injury. So he will be back to kind of shore it up a little bit. But they have a major red alert on their offensive line, especially what happened last week at Pittsburgh Steelers, getting all those sacks, all those turnovers, and the pressure they put on Daniel Jones. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be an emphasis in this game. And if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm licking my chops with that many linemen hurt in this game. So there you have it when it comes to that. Now we're going to get into the crux of the matter on what these two teams look like when it comes to the game itself that's going to be played at 7 o'clock on prime time. So when the Pittsburgh Steelers, they made a not so much of a splash for free agency, neither did the Chargers, but they did try to shore up their receiving corps. A lot of people thought that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to go after major receivers because everybody knows they've been trying to find that number 2 since they traded away George Pickens, and now trying to get some help for their number 1 wide receiver that they have. So they went and got Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who used to play with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay from 2018 to 2021. They have a lot of chemistry together, and of course he is a Grizzly veteran and can still run a little bit. They signed him to the practice squad, and he is expected to play on Sunday in this game. And understand, he is decorated. He is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He was on those 2 Super Bowl teams that won the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. So he does have rings. He does have a little bit of veteran moxie to go into this game. Bringing him in, this means that a lot of people think that Pittsburgh is trying to show up their offense a little bit and pass the ball more, trying to get to some 11 personnel or some 12 personnel. If you guys don't know what that means, 11 personnel basically tells you the number of backs and tight ends and tells you how many receivers are going to be on the field. So 11 personnel means 1 back, 1 tight end. That means you have 3 wide receivers on the field. Well, Pittsburgh doesn't run a lot of that. 12 personnel is 1 back, 2 tight ends, and 2 wide receivers. So Pittsburgh, again, doesn't run a lot of that. But bringing Scantling in, they can kind of help open up the passing game because the Pittsburgh Steelers are not one of the best teams when it comes to passing the football. They are 22nd in the NFL in average yards per game when it comes to their offense passing, 297 per game. That's not a whole lot. The average ball flight in the NFL is 9 yards. They rarely throw the ball down the field. A lot of dinking and dunking, check downs, throwing to the tight end, screens, throwing the ball to the back, out the backfield, trying to get the ball quick out their hands, and that's what they do. They average 7 yards per pass play. So bringing in Valdez Scantling is they're trying to open up the offense because we've been seeing the last couple of games that they've been, especially in Minnesota when they implemented it, they're running heavy 13 personnel, bringing an extra tackle to play tight end along with Darnell Mount Washington to help bolster that edge and run the ball, and it's been successful. But that can only last so long, and I think that's why they brought in Scantling to shoot it up so he can get some balls down the field, so DK Metcalf don't get double covered like we've been seeing the last 3 games. When it comes to the San Diego Chargers, and I'm gonna call them San Diego if you get mad, oh well. San Diego, LA, it don't matter. They had to show up their offensive line. Like I told you earlier, they have a lot of injuries on their offensive line, and they need some help. So what did they do? They went out and signed Trevor Penning, the tackle from the New Orleans Saints, gave them a 6th-round pick to them to get him to bolster up their line because they're ailing. They needed some help. So hopefully he will come in. They need to protect Justin Herbert to do that. Pittsburgh Steelers is third in the league in sacks coming into this game. So that is a real alert for San Diego. That's why they had to go get Trevor Penning to show up that so they can protect their quarterback. They are also second in turnovers, and they allow 11 forced fumbles. And a lot of this stuff comes from TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig, stripping the ball away from the quarterback, punching the ball out. So they got to find a way to do that, and that's why they went and got Trevor Penning. What is the running game going to look like? Okay, the number one rusher, Omarion Hampton, is out. He's hurt. He's not going to be playing. So it looks like they're going to go to Kamani Vardell, the running back out of Troy, and he's been having some really good games for them. He's giving them some balance. They've had some runs by committee. He had some good games. One game against Minnesota, he had 117 yards rushing and gashed them, and they just blew them out. And then he had another game where he rushed 125 yards against Miami in a 2-point victory that they had in that game. But he gives them a little bit of balance. You know, he was an undrafted free agent, and he's giving them balance out the offense, even with Omarion Hampton, that two-headed monster. But now, probably him and Hastings are going to be the ones in the backfield running back by committee. But we should see a lot of Fidel in this game against that Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Greg Roman runs a very sophisticated run offense. He tried to do that when he was the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, when they had a much, and of course, they had Derrick Henry and company. That's what he does. Greg Roman used to be the offensive coordinator for Jim Harbaugh when he was with the 49ers. So they're together again, and they have a lot of good balance in their offense. Well, when you run the ball like they do, the primary formation that the Chargers run is I formation, which is very old school. You don't see a lot of it in today's NFL. You see a lot of shotgun, read option, the back standing next to the quarterback, a lot of read option type of stuff. But Greg Roman is old school, and it still works. We saw Alabama do it for years and under Nick Saban, so Greg Roman is going to stick to it. Well, what does that I formation do for you offensively, and how does it affect the defense? Well, play action. The Chargers are actually the third-ranked NFL team in the league, 66% of play action passes. So they're going to try to establish the run game so they can throw the ball deep, throw the ball underneath, get those defensive players to come up, trying to chase the ball. And this is where we know one of their emphasis is stopping the run and get you one-dimensional so they can unleash that unbelievable pass rush that they have. So I expect Greg Roman to try to do that, at least establish it, and try to get that play action going, because Justin Herbert is one of the best at throwing. He has a very good receiving core with Johnson and others that he has out there. Of course, they have one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and he is emerging. Oronde Gaston II out of Syracuse is lighting up the league. He is doing everything he can to be a force, and he's one of now Justin Herbert's favorite targets, especially when they're trying to cover the dynamic wide receivers that they have going down the field. If that name sounds familiar, yes, he's the son of Oronde Gaston Sr., who played for the Dallas Cowboys back in the day and was drafted by them. He actually won a Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys when they beat my Pittsburgh in Super Bowl 30. So a lot of pedigree here. is making his name known, and I guarantee you he's going to be in the league for a long time, especially if Justin Herbert's the quarterback with the Chargers. When it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers on defense, they have been atrocious at times. They are up and down all day long when it comes to their defense. Everybody knows that. We have seen it. The last 3 weeks, they have gotten gashed by quarterbacks when it comes to in the division, out against prolific offenses. Of course, when they played against the Bengals, of course, got Joe Flacco from the Browns in the trade. He threw 342 yards on them and 3 touchdowns in the win. Jordan Love came in the week after that with the Baltimore Green Bay Packer offense. He threw 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. Win. Then Daniel Jones, even though he lost, Daniel Jones 342 yards on them with a touchdown, even though he threw 3 interceptions. That means in the last 3 games, the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary has given up 1,000 yards of passing offense. That is horrible. That is atrocious. What they did was in the Colts game, of course, man-to-man has been an issue with them. Of course, Darius Slay and Joey Porter. Darius Slay is not the same guy anymore that he used to be when he played with the Philadelphia Eagles. He is an aged veteran. He does look like he has some speed, so I'm pretty sure that we're going to try to limit his man-to-man coverage. And Joey Porter is a flag waiting to happen. He is one of the most penalized hold and pass interference corners in the National Football League. So to try to limit that, they played a lot of zone, and it worked. It allowed the pass rush to get to Daniel Jones for 5 sacks, and of course 6-7 turnovers. So they're going to try to do the same thing against Justin Herbert and limit that. I expect the Terrell Austin to make all the adjustments that he can throughout this game to make sure that his secondary in the passing is limited. Of course, you know Mike Tomlin has always emphasized that we have to make teams one-dimensional. They're going to try to shut down the run, and hopefully the secondary adjustment they've made will work. When it comes to the defense of the Chargers, now the defense of the Chargers, they run a 3-4 scheme type defense. They are very good in that area. They're 6th overall in the National Football League, 11 against the run, and 3rd against the pass. So they are an elite defense. They're very, very good. You want to keep an eye on the matchup between Khalil Mack and Broderick Jones, the left tackle. Broderick Jones, of course, you know, is moved from right tackle to left tackle. When they let their left tackle on the free agency, Broderick Jones came out of the University of Georgia and took that, of course, was eventually going to take that spot. But Khalil Mack is one of the best in the league. He has been for years a former defensive player of the year. Please keep an eye on that matchup and how it's going to work and how Pittsburgh is going to help out Broderick Jones to try to keep him bottled up, just like they did Myles Garrett when they played the Cleveland Browns. So we got to watch that matchup. The Chargers are very good on defense as far as blitzing. They are 4th in the National Football League in blitzing and a 19% rate, blitz rate in the National Football League. They get after the quarterback. They do a lot of fire type blitzes. And what does fire blitzes mean? It means that guys will walk up to the line, they'll act like they're going to blitz, and they'll bail. Okay. Then, of course, they also will act like they're in coverage, and then they'll blitz. They do a lot of that against teams that have a lot of success rate with that blitzing rate, getting to the quarterback, at least getting pressure to have an inaccurate throw, making it an interception or incomplete pass. Derwin James is one of their best players. He will thump you. Derwin James comes out of Florida State, is one of the best players in the country when he was in college football, and he's been with the Chargers, who drafted him ever since. They gave him a big contract, and his paid dividends. Derwin James, they use him in a multitude of different ways. He'll be a blitzer in their base defense. He plays strong safety. In their nickel package, he plays outside linebacker. He is a very good run support safety. He's fast enough to run with tight ends and slot receivers, and then he's big enough and physical enough to play a run support and tackle running backs. He plays in the A gap a lot where he'll act like he's going to blitz, and sometimes he will. He plays in the B gap, the C gap, all over the place. So he does a lot in run support and like I say, a ferocious tackler. Okay. So now we're going to look at the keys to the game and who I think should win this football game. Okay. The Pittsburgh Steelers need to control the penalties. They are 5th in the National Football League in penalties. They were one of the least penalized teams coming into the first couple of games of the year, and then became one of the most penalized teams. And what those penalties look like: they have 7 pass interference penalties. They have 6 false starts. They have 5 unnecessary roughness penalties, 4 delay of game, and then 4 offside penalties. And those 4 offside penalties, which is uncharacteristic, belong to T.J. Watt lining up in the neutral zone. So I'm pretty sure that these penalties contribute to their horrible third down defense, getting off the field, extending drives, and I'm pretty sure every week Mike Tomlin's been talking about it, that we keep getting penalized and we got to stop it. They were not as penalized in the last game, which helped the Colts not extend drives. But against this team, they got to figure out a way to do that because this team has a very good third down offense. When it comes to Pittsburgh, they have to control Ladd McConkey and Oronde Gaston II, okay, especially on third down. Ladd McConkey is one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League when it comes to getting open. He is, one of the best in the league. There's nobody better than him. It's like he's always open. He is a threat to zone coverage. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers right now have converted themselves to a zone coverage because of man-to-man is getting gassed. They were 19% against the Colts. They were almost 80-some-odd% in zone in that game. So they made the adjustment, and it worked. But coming to town, Ladd McConkey in zone, just to give you a perspective of how good he is, 81% of his targets are in zone where he is wide open, no one near him for between 4 to 3 yards of catching the pass. He is the best. That is number 1 in the National Football League. He is very effective route runner, effective against that, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have a 32 ranked defense on passing. So I'm pretty sure they got to control him and Oronde Gaston because they've been gashing teams the last couple of days. So my thing is who is going to be the nickel corner that's going to stop that with him in the slot, and who's going to be the linebacker covering Oronde Gaston II. Of course, Pittsburgh has to run the ball effectively against this team. Why am I saying that? The Chargers run a light box. So what is a light box? A light box means that between 7 or less players at the line of scrimmage, which is a base type defense. You see that either with the 3-4 or 4-3. Well, the San Diego Chargers are third in the National Football League on light boxes. 60% of the time on their defense, the box is light. So 82% of the time, they're in their sub packages. Okay, what are sub packages? Sub packages mean substitution type packages. Mean they're going to go to their nickel, go to their dime, go to a quarters type defense where they put more DBs on the field to stop the pass. And that is the reason why they are in the National Football League third overall in pass, because they play in a lot of passing type packages. Well, when you're doing that a lot, you have a lot of light boxes. So what does that contribute to? That means that teams should be able to run the football on them, and some running backs have. So just to give an example, Jonathan Taylor, when they played the Indianapolis Colts, they beat them, significantly, and Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns with 94 yards against them. When they played against the Miami Dolphins, even though they beat them, Achane had 128 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Merritt of the Washington Commanders, when they played them, had 111 yards with 2 touchdowns. Cam Scatterboo, in a loss when the San Diego Chargers got beat by them, he had 79 yards, but he had 25 carries. That means they control the clock, and that's why they won the game. And then J.K. Dobbins against the Denver Broncos, he had 83 yards and a touchdown. So teams have had success against them because they run a lot of light boxes. So the Pittsburgh Steelers will take advantage of that, with their big 13 personnel. And when they decide to get out of that light box and they try to come down in a full box, which is 7 or more, then try to throw that ball to Scantling, to DK Metcalf, or the tight ends to try to gash them in the middle of the field, or what they're going to do. The goal is to get them in their base defense, keep them out of that sub-package defense. And I think they need to do that in this game. Pressure Justin Herbert. They got to find a way to get the ball to him. His offensive line right now is horrible. They are hurt all over the place. You have to take advantage of that. I would be shocked if the Pittsburgh Steelers don't get multiple sacks in this game, multiple pressures where T.J. Watt, Nick Herbig, and Alex Highsmith can feast on these backup tackles and tackles they just acquired. They need to make sure they heat them up, play that zone, and make sure that the running game stays effective. But they need to make sure that these 3 guys get after him, and maybe sometimes put all 3 of them on the field, as I call the NASCAR package. Try to find a way to get Herbert on the ground and at least pressure. It has shown when Justin Herbert gets pressured, he will throw errant passes and not do well. So we got to make sure that we get to him. So that's the Pittsburgh Steelers in. When it comes to the Chargers need to attack the Pittsburgh secondary. They have the 32 ranked defense in the league. They need to make sure they attack them. Yes, I know they're probably going to run the ball and keep some balance, but they're going to may have to make Pittsburgh prove that they have fixed the issues that they have and stop the pass. They're horrible on third down, and they in the middle of the field be wide open. So I would test that, and I'm pretty sure that Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh are going to find out have they made the adjustments, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see that on Sunday night. They must protect Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is going to be under duress with these tackles hurt. I need to find a way to have tight ends help out, maybe chip some of these edge rushers, chip TJ Watt, chip Alex Highsmith and Herbert, either with a running back or a tight end, or keep guys in and max protect because they're going to be under duress, and I'm pretty sure they're going to have some blitz packages too to try to put extra pressure on the middle to force him to go to the boundary and get sacks. So you might see a lot of quick passes also. I think that they should quick pass the game because, they're going to be coming after him. So get that ball out of his hand so Herbert is not hit a lot, and limit the deep passes. I know sometimes they like to drop back and run those play action passes, but you might want to throw some quick passes out to relax that defense. That way, when you're able to run the ball more effectively, then you can go down the field. Blitz Aaron Rodgers, especially on the side where Broderick Jones is, okay? He is, by Pro Football Focus, one of the lowest graded tackles in the National Football League at 67%. He gives up a lot of pressures. He is one of the worst in the National Football League when it comes to pressures. At 2.7 seconds, the edge rusher on his side gets to the quarterback, and that is 27th in the NFL. He in 7.7% of his snaps, he is ranked 29th out of 34 eligible players in that area when it comes to pressure rate on the quarterback. So if I'm trying to make sure if I'm going to get to Aaron Rodgers, do the side of Broderick Jones and make this offensive line have to slide or keep people in to protect him and make sure Broderick Jones had to think about it a lot because his grade is horrible. Keep Pittsburgh out of field goal range. Pittsburgh has one of the greatest kickers in NFL history, besides Justin Tucker. Chris Boswell is one of the best in the league. He has made 18 field goals this year, which is one of the top of the National Football League. He has made 5 field goals over 50 yards and 1 over 60. He has made all of his extra points, has not missed any. So he is very effective. Pittsburgh relies on their defense and relies on getting points. Mike Tomlin has no bearing about putting Boswell out there at 60 plus or 50 plus to make field goals. We have seen it multiple times. We have seen Chris Boswell win games with all field goals like he did against the Atlanta Falcons and one time against the Baltimore Ravens. So last year. So keep the Pittsburgh Steelers out of field goal range so you're not getting those extra points from Chris Boswell because he's almost, if he gets so many, it's like getting a touchdown. Okay? And there you have it, guys. That's my breakdown. But hey, somebody got to win the game. You got your pen and pad ready? I know you guys like to bet on DraftKings and all these little betting sites. And we're going to see what's going to go down. And I'm going with my Pittsburgh Steelers. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game 27-24 on a field goal late in the fourth quarter by Chris Boswell. And there you have it. Nosebleed Nation, it's always good to see y'all. Again, we appreciate everything you guys do. We appreciate your viewing, your support, and everything that you do. Remember, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Make sure you also share the content because we're trying to grow in this stream. And check out some of our social media platforms. We're also going to have things on Facebook and Instagram for you guys. Also, with a lot of content there. And just keep checking it out. So please go like those things at Nosebleed Nation. Again, our motto here is, if anybody ever told you, they want to say that we love you, man. We appreciate everything that you do. And we'll see you on Sunday. Stay tuned for another couple of breakdowns that we're going to have for you before the game starts on Sunday and on Monday night. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the football tomorrow. Stay tuned. We may have some stuff for you tomorrow when it comes to the Eastside Flyers. They are playing in the second round of playoffs, so we may have that game for you. So stay tuned for that if it comes around. So again, appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of your day and be safe. Thank you for tuning in and watching the video all the way to the end. You have a great day and you be safe. And one more time, peace.